Welcome, everyone. My name is Corinne, and I will be your moderator this evening. I'm excited to welcome Natalie Westfall, Vice President of Henry Schein Financial Services, and Jennifer Rhode, Senior Manager of Henry Schein Integrative Studio, as our speakers this evening for a step-by-step guide to building your dream practice. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to go over some housekeeping. If you have a question, please type it in the Q&A section and we will work with the team to get those answered after the webinar. And also, CE is not available for this webinar live or on demand. Natalie, Jen, welcome. Thank you for being with us tonight. I'll pass it on over to you now.
Thanks for having us. As mentioned, today's topic is building your dream practice. But before we dig in, we'll kind of just give some further quick introductions. So once again, I'm Jen Rhode, Senior Manager of Henry Schein Integrated Design Studio. I've been helping dentists design their dream practice for almost 25 years. I am part of a really amazing team of over 20 designers who specialize in dental office design, working in collaboration with our equipment specialists throughout the US. We have personalized services that include dental space planning, 3D visualization, equipment and technology specification and placement, and interior finish selection. And joining me today, Natalie, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Great, thanks, Jen. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. My name is Natalie Westfall, and I'm the Vice President and General Manager of Financial and Strategic Solutions here at Henry Schein. This includes our Henry Schein Financial Services business. I've been with Henry Schein for 15 years and in the dental financing industry for over 30. I manage a team of experienced global dental professionals who work closely with our customers to navigate the process to plan and achieve the practice of their dreams. We provide a broad range of products and services that support our customers through all phases of practice ownership, focusing on helping our customers run and operate profitable practices. Today, we're going to be focusing on the key steps when starting a new project. So what we're going to talk about specifically, there are a lot of decision points, but we're going to be talking specifically about the importance of conducting a financial checkup as the very first step to building a dental office. We're going to be giving you some tips on selecting the right financial partner to work with, including the credit approval process and what you can expect there. We're going to share some best practices for determining the ideal location for your practice, including demographics and services that you plan to offer. We'll give you some tips on putting the right team in place with contractors, architects, and so on. And finally, we'll give you some strategies for future-proofing your practice, including dental technology and identifying growth opportunities. To go over the process briefly, there are a lot of key steps in the process, and our goal today is to really take you from vision to all the way through to opening your practice. There are a lot of key decision points, and Henry Schein has the right tools, the right team, and the right products and services to help you every step of the way. First, though, every key decision comes with affordability. And in order to do that, you need to really take a hard look at your finances, and you need to develop a plan and figure out what can you afford to build the practice of your dreams. You really can't do any of this without the right financing behind you. So some of the things that you're going to need to do is you're going to first need to conduct a financial checkup. How much can you afford to build out this practice? When we start this process with our customers, things always end up costing more than they think when they start out their planning. So having a plan up front so that you can somehow manage to it is really key. The things you're going to need to keep in mind right from the get-go is, what is your current cash flow situation? Obviously, if you already own a business, is there business profit to be considered? If this is a pure startup, what type of income do you have from an associateship? You're going to need to look at your personal debt, and you're also going to need to start planning out for what it will cost and what will the future expenses be for the business as well as personal. You're going to need to think about your vision and then start to develop a business plan. These are very important steps. And sometimes, people want to move so fast through this process that they don't even kind of start with why at the very beginning. And that's really key here. What we recommend for our customers, the very first step is to connect with your Henry Schein team to discuss your plans and get introduced to the right lending team to support you. The Henry Schein Financial Services team that I mentioned earlier in the introduction, we have a variety of lenders that we work with, and we help customize the needs to support you through this process. Great idea to look at your own personal credit, because that's really the step one in getting any type of financing. And I know you are all used to that, but do a quick self-assessment, make sure there's nothing glaring on your credit bureau, make sure that you would, qualify for any other loan that you would get, because that will be the very first hurdle that you need to clear. You'll need to complete a financial needs worksheet. So this is obviously, the very basic framework of what it will take to build an office. So you're thinking about what do you need to live today? And then what do you need to add to that in order to, request money from the bank for equipment, for working capital, for construction, furniture, software, and so on. And then the loan pre-qualification process. If you start this early enough in the process and you do this early, you really set yourself up for success down the way. Landlords, real estate brokers, if you're thinking about either renting space or acquiring real estate, we don't recommend that you really do that until you have at least a pre-approval from one of these lenders, because many times that's going to be a hurdle you have to clear anyway. It just makes the process go so much easier down the road. So what are these lenders that we're going to introduce you to? What are they going to look for? First of all, they're going to be looking at your personal credit. They're going to be looking at your FICO score, how long you've been licensed as a dentist, do you have any work experience? They're going to want to see production reports just to see, are your clinical abilities going to match up with the projections that you have on the business? They're going to look at whether or not you have any liquidity, and they're going to look at the type of debt that you have. For example, these dental specific lenders are very accustomed to seeing a lot of student loan debt from dentists who come out of school and are looking to open a practice. That's actually not a hurdle. It isn't something that is bad. It is something that they expect to see from dentists who come out of school. Bad debt, on the other hand, is going to be a lot of revolving debt. If there's credit card debt or home equity loans, that type of debt can really work against you. Not only does it impact your credit score, but it also is a sign to the lender that you can't make ends meet in your current situation, which may give them pause about adding additional debt to your debt load. So that's going to be the very first thing that they look at. The next thing they're going to look at is, depending on what type of a project you're taking on. If you're looking to expand or relocate an existing business, they are going to look at the existing business there. They're going to look at how well you already run the practice that you have, and whether or not, adding this additional debt, if you can really justify doing that. So if you're running a good practice now and your schedule is full and you want to have additional capacity, or you want to add additional services or specialists, then obviously I think you're going to get the support that you need, especially when you can show that you've already run a successful practice. They will use the existing practice as collateral, and often if you already have debt on that existing practice, you may be required to kind of wrap it into a new loan. A startup, on the other hand, is completely different, obviously, because there's no business history. These lenders are taking an enormous risk on someone who does not own a business today, and there's no patients coming in the door. But the lenders that we work with, and this is why it's so important to work with dental specific lenders, they really understand the space really well. So they're going to be looking at some projections. They're going to be looking at demographics, and can the area really handle another dentist in the area if this is a brand new from scratch practice? They're going to be looking at the budget compared to some of the other loans that they've done in the area. They're going to be looking at your team. They're going to be looking at whether or not you have any outside income, if you are going to continue to work in a current associateship, or perhaps you have some spousal income that may help support the loan. They're going to be looking at all of these things. The processes, the turnaround time are very similar, but basically when we sum up really what the lenders are going to be looking looking for from you. It's going to be really a good, solid personal credit profile and a good story on why you want to take out this loan and open up a new practice. So the next step is really creating a business plan. And this is such an interesting topic because many lenders do not actually require formal business plans, but having one is good for you. And it's also very good for the lender. And it often helps speed up the approval process. It often also increases the amount that the lender will give you, just based on the fact that you sat down and put together a plan that you intend to manage to. This is really the foundation of any business, and I recommend that our customers, even if they're not looking to apply for a loan, I recommend that all of our customers have a business plan and review it at least annually. The Henry Schein Financial Services team does have a business plan that we can help you with. Our plan includes the dental practice timeline, process, and the different considerations that you have for those key milestones. It helps you define your target market. It gives you a financial checklist and the information that you're going to need to compile to apply for financing. It's going to give you some assistance and guidance on hiring, staffing, and general practice operations. There's some marketing and practice promotional support, as well as a financial projection tool. This is one of the value adds of working with Henry Schein Financial Services. You can go and work with a consultant and they can charge you thousands of dollars to help put this together. But for Henry Schein Financial Services, we care about your long-term success, and we want to make sure that we give you the right tools to help speed up this process and make it easier to get the financing you need and start to build the practice of your dreams. Once you're approved for financing, the next step is really choosing the loan product that fits best for you, choosing the right lender. If you've decided to work with your local bank and maybe also compare them to one of the specialty lenders that we talk about who, do dental practices every day, there's certain things that you're definitely going to want to consider as you make the choice on which financing you're eventually going to move forward with. So you want to know what the terms are available. You're going to want to know how long they can finance for. Local banks typically will not finance as long as some of these dental specific lenders. We can offer up to 15-year financing, sometimes even 20 for dental practice financing. The local banks tend to like smaller loans unless you go through the Small Business Administration. You're going to want to know whether the rate is fixed or variable. Interest rates for so long have been so low, and we've all benefited from that. But now we have been in a rising rate environment, so it's important to know, is your rate fixed? How long is it fixed for? And the longer, when you're opening a new business, cash flow is going to be king, and you're going to want to make sure that you do whatever you can to preserve your cash flow in that first 1 to 2 years of business. Keeping in mind your other debt load and what your total obligations are, you're definitely going to want to make sure you think not just about the rate, but also about what your monthly obligation is going to be. Flexible payment structures is another thing that we really coach and guide our customers on. A lot of the lenders that we work with will allow for interest-only payments for the first year. Some will even offer a payment deferral so that you don't actually have to make payments for a couple of years while you're ramping up, a couple of months before you're ramping up. And this is really a great way to kind of maximize your cash flow and make sure that you are, your payment and debt obligations are going to match the cash flow and the production in the office. You also want to make sure that you understand who's going to be managing the disbursements during your construction. I will tell you that many customers, really like the idea of controlling the money and the disbursements themselves. I think having a blend and having the lender as a partner here is really helpful. With a dental specific lender, the lender will ultimately manage all of the disbursements and they will keep track of the payments that are going to contractors and others, but they will not pay anyone without your authority. In a situation where you have the money and you can write the checks as things come through. It may be harder, especially if you're working or running an existing practice. It may be harder for you to really keep track of that. So in our view, it's really great to be able to lean on a lender that this is all they do every day. They're not, financing forklifts down the street. They're just focusing on dental offices. So these are some of the things that you're going to want to think about as you are getting ready to take the next step in the financial process. Investing in new equipment and upgrading technology in the office. This is something that if you're not careful, this is where your budget for financing in a big loan can really get blown. When you come out of school, you definitely want to have all the latest technology, or even when you're opening a new practice, having the right technology, having the right tools to be able to attract new patients. This is so important. So on top of having a large practice loan, sometimes it's beneficial to kind of have a separate loan or some separate financing to be able to add the technology that you want. Using some of the very simple programs that we've put together to kind of help you as a new practice owner get the new technology in your office and benefit from it right away, but have it be kind of a separate loan that doesn't really have any payments through that first year. With Henry Schein Financial Services on the equipment financing, once you get your practice funded, we can help you secure the right financing for the other technology that, maybe, you don't feel like you have it in your budget, but it's so, so important. So we have a simple application process. We have very quick approvals, and we've got really creative structures to help you along this way. When you're thinking about where to put your practice, whether you want to rent, own, or build, there are a lot of different cost factors that come into play. So for renting, some of the pros that we've listed here, you have common area maintenance. You don't have to worry if it snows or something like that. You have a smaller commitment. You don't have a down payment. And then you've got the flexibility on where your practice can move and grow with, predictability on what your expenses are going to be every month. The cons are that you're going to have less control, depending on your lease terms. You could be subject to rent increases. You're not building any equity. And many people often look at renting as kind of throwing money out the window. But it really depends on the type of practice, whether you want to grow. This is a very, very normal and common first step for practice owners is to rent and then kind of figure out where they want their long-term practice to be located and whether they want to be a landlord or not. Most of the time, being a landlord does include, you're obviously housing the practice, but then you could also have other tenants as well. If you're purchasing an existing practice, depending on where rates are, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, rates have been going in one direction for the last year plus, and they're continuing to do that. So it may not be the best time to build a new, or finance a building or finance a new building. But overall, you really need to be able to compare this to rent versus buy and see what's best for you. There is obviously, if you plan on hanging on to real estate over time, it generally is appreciating and it turns into being a very good investment. And even if you go further down the road and decide that, maybe you want to sell the practice or bring in a partner, keeping, the real estate as an option is another way to supplement income. Cons are it's going to tie up capital. It does usually require separate financing. There's a large down payment, and you owe the money regardless of how the business is doing, or you can't really easily move if you run out of space. Having to sell the practice too can be a little bit of a detractor. We also list possible decline in value because real estate has been going up over the last few years, and none of us have a crystal ball to know how long that will continue, and you don't know what will happen in an area. So those are some of the cons that we've seen through the years. And then finally, building brand new, kind of ground up, building a ground up space. This is obviously really attractive to people because you can completely customize, you can completely personalize it. There is a lot of tax benefits. There is a fixed cost involved here, but some of the cons are higher interest rates if it's brand new, and then just the initial cost outlay. So these are some of the things that as you work with your advisors, they'll kind of take you through the pros and cons. And honestly, each situation is different, and you ultimately have the right team to help you kind of make the right decision for your practice. The next thing I'd like to talk about is just building your team. As I've said from the beginning, the Henry Schein Financial Services team, we have a team of experts that really support you through all phases. And as we looked at that project pipeline, there were all these key milestones. And we know it can be overwhelming, but making sure that you really are working with the right partners that can take you through every step of the journey is really why we feel that Henry Schein is just such a great partner to have. On the finance side, we have Henry Schein Financial Services, which is dedicated finance folks who have been doing just dental offices for many years. And we also have a preferred network of lenders who've been doing dental financing and have helped thousands and thousands of customers take on this journey just as you're contemplating. Within that mix, there are realtors, contractors, architects, and designers. And your equipment specialist here at Henry Schein is going to be your key partner for tapping into the rest of the network of specialists. So your finance team and your equipment team work hand in hand, and then that team will obviously bring you in to help make sure that you're connected through all the other phases of the project. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Jen to tell you more about that.
Thanks, Natalie. Great information and really important to think about those initial steps. So once you have solidified your financial plan, it's also important to identify your project goals before making an investment in a new space or site. Some key considerations might include your targeted patient demographic, which Natalie talked about earlier. Another consideration, thinking about whether you plan to expand your patient care by bringing in a specialist, and also thinking about future growth opportunities. You will also want to make sure that you think about some of your previous experiences. What were those pain points in the past, and what have you enjoyed most about the practices you've worked in? So let's dig in a little bit further here. In preparation for the planning stage, the next step in the process is to determine your practice philosophy. This is based on several factors, starting with, once again, your key demographic. Demographics not only affects the selection of your site, but also how you might approach the design of your space. As mentioned previously, you want to make sure to consider any growth aspirations. The design of your space should support your practice needs for today and well into the future. With these things in mind, there are a few different ways to approach the overall design to ensure it aligns with your practice needs and also represents your philosophy on patient care. The first approach is a little bit more traditional. It's tailored toward the needs of families and offers increased convenience and also added comfort. This might include larger waiting areas, added accommodations within the clinical zone for either patients or guests, and also multi-purpose or flex rooms. The second approach to design is considered to be more of a VIP or luxury experience. This type of design solution has a strong emphasis on individual experience within the clinical zone. This style of design can include accommodations such as larger treatment rooms and amenities that support that added patient comfort and, once again, privacy. When it comes to design aesthetics, think a little bit more along the lines of a spa or hospitality type experience. Lastly is self-guided. This practice philosophy has more of a minimalist approach to the design with a strong focus on independent experiences. offering digital solutions for check-in, checkout, and also patient communication. The self-guided approach is very patient-centric, keeping staff areas and clinical support tucked out of view. If you think about it, we really, again, being self-guided, you want the patient to be able to navigate through patient-focused spaces. This is also going to create some opportunities for increased efficiency and also higher production. Once you've identified your practice goals and philosophy, our team of equipment specialists can help to obtain accurate dimensions of your space. And this is really an important step in the process, just to make sure you step off on the right foot. They can help narrow down your specific needs by, once again, reviewing your project goals and completing what we call a design planning checklist, kind of like you see here. The checklist will help capture the number and type of spaces that are required for your practice, along with your preferred treatment room layout, size, and style. So from here, we're ready to get started on the fun part, which is the design. Our equipment specialist, once again, will help prepare the project details and coordinate with our design team to help develop a preliminary plan. From there, we work together to review the initial design intent and continue to refine as much as needed. Just again, wanting to make sure that we go through those steps to make sure that we're meeting those project goals. So as the plan nears completion, this is also an ideal time to start discussing the preferred equipment that you want in your practice and begin to finalize those selections. Once again, that equipment specialist will help begin that coordination of your overall project needs with your preferred architect and contractor as well. Well, we've kind of talked about the focus or the importance of creating form and function within your space. You also want to consider the overall look and feel. What is that vision that you have in your mind? So during the planning stage, our designers can also help select interior finishes and furnishings that represent your practice philosophy. Once again, we want to make sure that your brand reflects the demographic you're serving and also want to attract. As final decisions are made, we begin to move into that document phase. So this phase is going to include preparing the dental specification plans, which our team works with the equipment specialist to prepare. Final plan reviews as it relates to local code requirements. We'll coordinate with the architects and contractors from a local standpoint. Acquiring bids and also submitting for permits. Once again, the equipment specialist is helping to coordinate that piece. They will help set up pre-construction meetings and support the overall collaboration of all pertinent parties. This is also a great time to consult with some of our other Henry Schein partners to select the merchandise and small equipment. And also, let's not forget about creating a marketing plan. So as the construction initiates, our equipment specialists will provide continued on-site support. They will provide those larger utility templates and also the specification drawings that have been prepared specific to your space. They will conduct an on-site review of the utility rough-in locations and also provide a final walkthrough just to make sure everything is where it needs to be before they pour floors and close up the walls. In conjunction with our service team, they'll also help coordinate the final installation of the dental equipment and also schedule some training opportunities to support some of your new equipment and digital technology. And then, of course, the last step there too, you want to make sure that you set a date for your grand opening and celebrate your new success in your new practice. So let's just take one last look at the path to building your dream practice. As Natalie and I have shared today, there are some essential steps and considerations along the way. So as you can probably see from this discussion, bringing in the right project team early on in the process will really help to ensure your project runs smoothly and your project goals are met. So before we finish up today, I'd like to pass it back to Natalie to share some last key takeaway items.
Thanks, Jen. That was great information. So in review, Henry Schein has all of the tools to be your full guide throughout the entire process of building or planning a dental office. We have a team of experts that understand your professional needs and can steer you in the right direction. A financial checkup is integral in the planning process to manage expectations and plan for future growth. As we said at the very beginning, without the right funding and without the right financial tools, none of this can even happen. You want to make sure that you're identifying your key demographic and patient base as a guide for creating your business plan, selecting your location, service offerings, and developing your branding and marketing strategy. Now's the time to start your dental practice. So if you work with your Henry Schein specialist today to talk about your career options and trajectory, and think about your financial partners and how we can help steer you in the right direction. We can help you manage all of the intricacies of tax benefits and beyond, and it's time to take that leap and open your new practice. Please submit any questions to both HSFS and our design services. We'll follow up accordingly. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks so much, Jen. That's great information for our customers to absorb. The key takeaways we'd like to leave you with today are the following. First of all, it's important to work with the right team. Henry Schein has all of the tools to be your full guide throughout the entire process. As we showed you today, we can help you from that very early vision step all the way through opening your practice. A financial checkup is a key part of this process. As we said before, without funding or financing, none of this is even possible. So making sure that you have that financial checkup and you do it early so that you're prepared to go through the process without any bumps is really important. Think about your key demographic areas and your patient base as a guide to help you create your business plan, select your location, figure out your service offerings, and developing your branding and marketing strategy. As mentioned, the Henry Schein Business Plan tool can absolutely help you through that process. So make sure you take advantage of it. Now's the time for you to start your dental practice. Connect with a specialist today, talk about your options and trajectory, work with your financial services partners and design team. We are here to help you every step of the way. Thank you so much for joining today.